We are just days away from the Valorant closed beta, and one of the more important decisions you'll have to make is what agent is best for you. While you can play whatever agent best fits the composition your team needs, mastering said agent will prove to give your team an advantage in the new tactical shooter. Let's go through all 9 current Valorant agents with the 100 Thieves team, and you can decide which one is right for you. If your playstyle is to catch the enemy team off guard, rack up countless eliminations, and outgun every duel you come across, then Phoenix is the agent for you. With his abilities tailored around entry fragging and gaining the upper hand through one-on-one fights, Phoenix is sure to be a staple in every single Valorant match. Phoenix's first ability, Blaze, allows him to deploy a flame wall that blocks all vision. If anyone decides to walk through it, they will take damage. Meanwhile, Phoenix can pass through to regain some of his health. Use it as a tool to block the line of sight of an opponent or to heal up after a skirmish. Phoenix's next ability is Curveball. Simply put, it's a flashbang that curves around a wall and detonates rather quick. This flash is absolutely devastating to any enemy caught off guard. Combine Blaze and Curveball to create a favorable situation out of thin air. Hot Hands is a pretty standard AoE ability that damages opponents, forcing them to either peek or take significant damage. Similar to Blaze, Phoenix heals from standing in this ability over time. Run It Back is an aggressive Duelist dream ultimate. After casting, Phoenix can run into the enemy team, taking aim duels with little to no worry. The kills he gets remain, but if he dies, he simply returns to the position he used his ult in. While he may lose all armor loss while using Run It Back, he will always be at full health when he returns. If you're confident in your ability to click on heads and want to be the star that entries for your team through pure skill, then you can't go wrong in picking Phoenix.
In any tactical FPS, predictability can be a major disadvantage. Luckily, with an agent like Omen, you'll always be keeping your opponents guessing on where you might be. Omen lurks from the shadows. His kit allows him to cut off lines of sight across the map while teleporting locations the enemy team couldn't possibly predict. If you enjoy playing solo and startling the opposing team, Omen might be the agent for you. Omen's first ability is Shrouded Step. After a brief cast period, Omen is able to teleport a short distance. This allows for peeking in less than conventional spots to catch your opponent off guard. You can also use this ability to get to even higher locations that very few agents can even reach. While the opponent may hear a small sound when you teleport, they will not be able to see any of the particles if you are behind the wall. Following with his Q ability, Paranoia, is a new take on the classic CSGO flashbang. Paranoia travels through walls in a straight line, and if enemies hit, their vision is decreased significantly in front of them. Another form of vision impairment comes with his E ability, Dark Cover. With an incredibly far cast range, Omen can deploy a smoke or shadow that travels and lands in a designated location, again cutting off lines of sight. The lurking theme of Omen is no more apparent than it is in his ultimate From the Shadows. From the Shadows pulls up the player's map and allows Omen to teleport to any location. When you arrive, you'll briefly cast a shadow that conjures you in that new location. You can use this ability to flank the entire enemy team and have their focus to where you might be. My favorite use of the ult is to fake a bomb plant on one site and teleport to the other while the enemy rotates.
Sage is Riot's take of a support healer role in a tactical FPS. While there have been plenty of discussions on if the character with a resurrect can be implemented properly into a tactical FPS game, Sage's balance of map controlling abilities tied together with her simplistic healing create an agent that perfectly fits into the game. Sage's kit is split in half. 2 crowd control abilities designed to disrupt an enemy team's assault, and 2 abilities that are meant to repair your team's health or numbers mid-round. Sage's first ability is Barrier Orb. Sage is able to conjure a wall from the ground that completely blocks the enemy in their tracks. Her only options are to pivot and find a new entrance or blast straight on through it, but that might take a while. Her second ability is Slow Orb. While the name leaves little to the imagination, to put it simply, Sage throws an orb that breaks into an AoE slow that coats the floor. Enemies that are caught in it or decide to walk through will be slowed by 70%, and their footsteps will be audible. As you know, rounds don't always go as planned. If you find yourself sitting on 10 HP after a skirmish, you'll be glad you have Sage on your team. Every 35 seconds, Sage is able to heal herself or a teammate to full health. While she can't restore any armor purchased in the round, peaking at 100 HP will feel vastly different than if you did at 10 health. Once Sage has her ultimate, she is able to walk close to an eliminated player's body and cast her ultimate to bring that dead player back to life. This can quickly swing any retake into her team's favor and is an ability that needs to be used wisely. If Sage isn't cautious of her surroundings as she revives her teammate, they can be eliminated before they have the chance to move.
Cypher is arguably one of the strongest agents in the game. Rather than having his abilities injure enemies, his kit is geared toward gathering information on the enemy's whereabouts by deploying cameras, tripwires, and more during the game's pre-round phase. If you're playing against a Cypher, it's safe to assume he is aware of your location at almost all times. Cypher's first ability is Trapwire. Cypher is able to place up to 2 trapwires that are invisible to the enemy from a distance. If an enemy trips this wire, they are instantly revealed. If the enemy fails to shoot the trapwire's base after a few seconds, then it'll detonate and daze the player. If the enemy approaches the trapwire slowly, it will reveal when they are close and they can destroy before tripping it. Up next, Cyber Cage is a remote activated ability that creates a hollow zone upon detonation, blocking vision instantly. Agents that pass through the barrier are slowed and a sound cue triggers to identify their location. Spy Cam is Cypher's next ability. Cypher is able to place a spy camera on any wall he's around. Recasting the ability freezes your character in place as you look through the camera from anywhere on the map. This allows you to monitor an entire site without having anyone on your team needing to be there. Finally, Cypher's ultimate, Neural Theft, is the only ultimate that has a requirement need to be hit on top of the 6 ultimate points every agent needs. In order to cast Neural Theft, Cypher will need to come across the dead body of the enemy team within around 17 seconds of their death and cast this ability. When done, Cypher reveals the location of every enemy member on the minimap, as well as the agent they are playing. With this kind of information, Cypher can pivot his entire team to rotate for the best advantage in the round.
Breach breaks barriers, bearing Breach's bountiful booty boasts beautiful ability to buy abilities. No other words describe Agent Breach's ability as the word disruptive. Breach excels at breaking through enemy defenses with unique offensive abilities. Most of Breach's abilities can only be cast through a wall. This may sound bizarre for an agent's design, but once you get the hang of them, the enemy team will definitely regret camping in one place for a little too long. As stated before, the bulk of Breach's abilities need to be cast from one side of the wall to the other. If Breach is out in the open and there are no walls available, you'll see a large red indicator and his abilities will not work. His first ability is Aftershock. After a small warm-up, Breach fires a burst of fire through the wall, damaging any enemy it hits. His second ability is used in the exact same way. Flashpoint is a fast-acting flashbang that detonates and blinds any players looking in that direction. The next 2 abilities introduce a new mechanic that a few agents have called Daze. When Breach uses his signature ability called Fault Line, a seismic blast goes through the wall and dazes all players hit. Daze gives a vignette on the enemy's vision while slowing their gun's rate of fire. If this wasn't enough to overpower the enemy's defenses, then Rolling Thunder, Breach's ultimate, will certainly do the trick. Similar to his Fault Line ability, Rolling Thunder fires a large devastating quake in a large cone, dazing and physically displacing enemies caught in its path. This knockup is so powerful that it can even stop agents defusing and planting bombs. However, it will also affect teammates. Whether you're looking to retake a bomb site or execute your own team's rush, Breach ensures that your breach will be a success. Viper excels at close quarters combat, so much so that the agent literally creates scenarios that replicate it as best as possible. With the use of her toxic poison, Viper aims to control the battlefield while forcing her opponents into scenarios that they need to act fast in or perish. Viper's first ability is Snakebite. Similar to other AoE abilities, Viper files a vial from her wrist, leaving a pool of acid on the floor that damages all characters, including herself. So be careful where you step, especially when Poison Cloud and Toxic Screen are deployed. Before we talk about those 2 abilities, we need to introduce Viper's passive Poison Meter. Viper has a Toxin Meter that depletes slowly while her Poison Cloud or Toxic Screen are active. If the tank empties, the abilities subside while the poison recharges. Poison Cloud is a toxic gas cloud that blocks an enemy's vision, and Toxic Screen works similar but deploys a wall instead of a sphere. Both of these abilities, as well as her ult, has an effect called Decay. Decay is one of the strongest effects in the game, however it affects everybody on the field except for Viper. Your teammates are not safe. Decay takes anyone standing inside of her Poison Cloud, Toxic Screen, or Ultimate down to 1 HP. Viper will remain at full health, full armor, but anyone else standing inside for a long period of time will find themselves missing all of their health except for 1. Decay is used to its fullest potential whenever you activate her ultimate, Viper Pit. Viper Pit fills a large space with poisonous gas that not only applies decay, but limits the enemy vision and does not require any use of her toxin meter. In addition, any enemies inside of her Viper Pit will be knocked down to 1 HP and will be glowing red for Viper inside. So not only are you taking a fight at 1 HP, but Viper can see you coming. And on top of that all, if you think you can wait out the ultimate, you'd be wrong. Viper's Pit is infinite, and as long as she's staying inside, it will persist throughout the entire round. So honestly, if you hear Viper yell, "Don't get in my way," you might want to consider listening.
Brimstone is another Valorant controller class. If Viper excels in taking over a confined space when she's close to the action, Brimstone excels at controlling the map when he's far from the action. Brimstone's kit has him utilizing abilities that can reach a large portion of the map at any time. Whether he's smoking from the sky or using an orbital strike, Brimstone makes sure your plans are hard to execute. Brimstone's first ability is Stim Beacon. When deployed, anyone, both friendlies and enemies who go into the AoE circle, will receive a decent boost to the rate of fire. Brimstone should utilize this when your team is about to push into a site for more DPS. Note that the buff lasts a bit longer even after walking out of the circle. Brimstone's next ability is Incendiary. Brimstone equips a Molotov projectile that explodes and burns the surrounding area and any players in it. This ability has some crawl to it, meaning that when it's shot, it'll have a larger radius than expected. Where Brimstone excels is his use of somewhat global abilities. His first one, Sky Smoke, allows him to deploy up to 3 clouds of smoke at once. Casting the ability pulls up your map and gives you a cursor to choose where to place these vision blocking spheres. They last a bit of time as well. If you're trying to retake a site and these come down, you'll need to push them and hope the enemy isn't waiting on the other side. Last, but certainly not least, we have Brimstone's ult, Orbital Strike. Orbital Strike deploys a beam of fire from the sky on a designated location. Can you play that back one more time? Yeah, that's a literal beam of fire that takes over a large portion of the site. This can damage both teammates and enemies, but teammates take less damage than the immense amount that enemies take. While this can have many uses such as zoning and clearing corners, none are better than the enemy having 10 seconds left to defuse the bomb and hearing, "Open up the sky!" before the round promptly ends.
Open up the sky! My ult's ready.
Silva is a walking wall hack. If your desired way of playing is supplying your team with information on the enemy whereabouts and maybe occasionally shooting them through the walls, then this is the agent for you. Silva utilizes different types of arrows and gear to locate the opposing team without putting himself in danger. Once located, Silva looks to use his abilities to eliminate them without ever getting in their line of sight. Silva's first ability is Owl Drone. That's it. It's legit a drone that just looks like an owl. Silva can use this ability to deploy a drone that he manually controls to survey an area. While the duration isn't very long, he can click left to shoot out a dart that will reveal an enemy if they're hit. Silva's following two abilities are different types of arrows. His first arrow, Shock Bolt, detonates on impact and deals AoE damage depending on the target's distance to the arrow. The second arrow, Recon Bolt, will reveal anyone who is in the line of sight of the arrow, showcasing their location to the entire team. Each bolt can be fired with 4 different levels of power, as well as the ability to right-click and designate the number of walls it'll ricochet off before sticking, allowing skilled Nova players to dismantle an enemy attempting to hide or refusing to peek. If you know where an enemy is, then it's time to use Silva's ultimate, Hunter's Fury. Silva equips a massive lightning surge bolt that can shoot through multiple walls and damage any enemy hit by it. This ability can be fired up to 3 times. If an enemy is hit, on top of taking damage, they're briefly slowed and revealed to your entire team. This has the potential to wipe your opposition if they are all gathered before pushing a site.
Jet is all about precision and styling on opponents. While the latter of the two might not be the intended use of the agent, her abilities make her the go-to character for clip-worthy plays. Jet's kit centers around evasiveness and breaking the enemy's timings. She aims to be in different spots, keeping their entire team guessing on what angle she'll be holding or peeking next. Jet's first ability is Cloud Burst. While it shares similar properties to other agents' smoke abilities, Jet's smoke deploys the quickest. It also will stick to the first surface it hits. Jet looks to use her smoke to get out of any given situation, as the smoke doesn't last too long to be used for other circumstances. Jet's Q is Updraft. She propels herself forward into the air. This ties together well with her passive, which allows her to hold the jump button and glide. Jet's aim will be widely inaccurate as she is gliding, however. Jet's E is Tailwind. It's a directional boost that instantly pushes her in your desired direction. Jet uses this primarily to break timings, but can also be used to get out of situations that might be unfavorable. Your gun needs to be pulled out after using Tailwind, so pushing right into an enemy's face might not be advised. Blade Storm is Jet's ultimate ability. Jet conjures a set of 5 throwing knives that do 50 damage to the body and 150 for a headshot. If she eliminates an opponent using the ult, she resets back to 5 knives. If Jet finds herself in a close quarter situation, she can right-click to launch all knives at once, though this can prove to be inaccurate. While Jet is using Updraft and gliding her ult, Bladestorm will continue to be a hit scan and 100% accurate. Jet's at her most lethal when her ultimate is cast. Expect to see some crazy highlights soon.
Ooh, that headshot though! Y'all see that headshot, huh?
There you have it, all 9 agents in Riot's new tactical shooter Valorant. Which agent are you planning to main when the game comes to closed beta? Leave your answers in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and if you want more Valorant content, click on the screen now for our companion video, Everything You Need to Know About Valorant.